Hey guys, so this week we're talking about citations, we're talking about copyright a little bit, and I'd also like some of our conversations to kind of go into thinking about the Creative Commons movement as well as open access, which is mostly done for scholarly publishing. And the open source movement with software, which is kind of a movement where people will develop a piece of software and then make the license so that other people can build upon the software that they made and make a new version, make it better, do new things with it. So in my mind, I think all of those things are kind of interrelated. Of course, the main topic of discussion really is citations. So, I think at this point, most of you are juniors and seniors. So chances are you've already encountered citations, whether you're using them as a tool to find other materials to read, which is a really great search strategy, or chances are, as a writer, you've been creating your own citations. So there's several different citation style guides, and each one has some slightly different ways of approaching how a citation is formed. But the basics of a citation are relatively universal. So citations came about to describe basically written texts back in the old days, and to the point that it's still called bibliographic information, the actual details that you're recording, even if the item is in fact not a bibliographic item, but it's an audiovisual item, it's an email, what have you. So the basics of a citation, as you've seen in the lit tutorials and in some of the readings and when you're looking at your style guides. So a work typically has an author, or sometimes it's a creator, sometimes it's a corporate entity. The McDonald's website, you can't really tell who wrote it, so it gets credited to the corporation McDonald's. Typically there's a name for the publication. Typically there's going to be a year that it was published. For electronic materials, not only is the year published important, but it's also important to note when you accessed it. For things like magazines and academic journals, it'll also be helpful to record volume and issue numbers. With a journal article, there's the title of the article itself, and then the title of the publication. So it might be, so you let people know that not only is this the title of the article, what's really going on in Bellingham, but you also let them know that, oh yes, that was published in National Geographic, for example. For books, it's also common. It's also commonly in common citations, you're going to put where it was published and who the publisher is. So those are some of the common details. I think regardless of what style you choose, whether it's ALA, MLA, what have you, you're going to see that that sort of information is going to be the same throughout. It's just a matter of how it's arranged, what's in italics, where you put your period, where you put your commas. But I think where citations get really interesting is kind of highlighted in the readings that I've provided for you this week, where basically you'll see there's actually active discussion going on right now in journalism between professional journalists as well as blog writers and hobbyists about how to properly give credit to other sources online. What's more common than citations is hyperlinks. And to me, I see hyperlinks as kind of a hybrid form that's a new, updated version of a citation. It's not necessary anymore to pull out that bibliographic information and show that. You can just point directly to where you want someone else to go to. But there's a lot of discussion right now about when should sources be hyperlinked to, and a lot of that has to do with some of the changes that are going on in news reporting, as well as online. As you know, there's so much content readily available, and there's so many different sources of information, some of which are formally published and some of which, such as a Twitter feed, the line is more blurry as to whether or not it's formally published. So as news sources like the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, these established media content providers, as well as content aggregators, there's a lot of discussion going on about that kind of thing. If you don't know much about content aggregation yet, I think the readings that I've provided will give you kind of a head start on that. But it's basically a new practice where different pieces from the web are brought together and presented in a new form. So anyhow, I hope that those readings spark your interest and can help us have some really engaging discussions. I know that I was really interested to read those articles because, yeah, I thought it was like discussions about citations and the ethics of when to cite. It's just they were using slightly different language. But anyhow, I look forward to your discussions on this topic, and I'll be seeing you soon. Bye.